Good evening and welcome to Crime Corner. I am OmniDog from OmniDog's Vault, joined as always on Crime Corner by the Minister of Comics, Taylor Brown. How you doing?
I'm doing quite crimey this evening, and I'm excited to talk about some crime books with you.
I like talking to you about books, and I like these books, but I have to say, sometimes I get depressed reading these books. There's a lot of inhumanity going on in them. People, because it's not enough to investigate a routine robbery or something. It's always got to be some kind of exotic, gross, disturbing thing that, especially with Death or Glory, I was like, I didn't like people to begin with, but Death and Glory makes me want to just stay in the basement for the rest of my life.
Yeah, it definitely shows you the worst that humanity has to offer in crime books.
Yeah, it really does.
Well, I think crime books can kind of help you come to grips with the reality that evil is everywhere, and that everyone has darkness within them, and that everyone's capable of horrible things. Because a lot of times we think evil is just maybe a couple people out there, but these books really show it can be anywhere. You don't even know it.
I totally believe that.
That can be scary. Like I think last week on our Bad Days in the Bat Cave, you said the most scary book that you own is Dark Knight by Paul Dini because it's so realistic.
Yeah.
That out of nowhere, people can just attack you and ruin your life for no reason.
No reason.
No reason at all. They just don't even take your money. They don't grab your wallet or your watch or anything. They just come along and just beat you and just leave you there.
Mm-hmm.
And there's no rationale behind it. And I think sometimes the scariest things in these crime books is the banality of evil, how just everyday and normal it really is. It's not like, the Adolf Hitlers or things like that. It's people who seem normal, people who seem fine, but under the surface, there's something really dark and nasty.
Right.
But the good thing is that we read other books too. We do Bad Days in the Batcave and do mostly uplifting DC books. You do indie books with Kristen. And whenever you're able to nail that ketchup to the wall with Tyler, you read some Ninja Turtles. So you're a very well-rounded reader.
That is true. And I do love reading books. And all these books that we read, I'm not going to say they had happy endings, but they had, to me, all of them had satisfying endings. They were all satisfying to me. Not that they weren't happy endings necessarily, but I was like, okay, good. That's a good way to finish this book.
I think The Losers had one of my favorite final pages in any comic I've ever read. I don't want to ruin it for anybody, but it just makes you laugh because it's a great capstone to the series.
The very last panel.
Yeah, the very last page. It's like a splash page. It's like a single image, and it's just it's hilarious. So yeah, it does end on a high note.
Yeah. Now, have you seen the movie?
Yeah, I have seen the movie. I would say the movie is actually more lighthearted and funny than the comic is. And so I saw the movie before I read the books because I think the movie came out in 2010. And I think it got kind of steamrolled, especially because the A-Team came out that year, that reboot movie. And I think people kind of thought, you remember the A-Team movie with Liam Neeson and Bradley Cooper? It was like a reboot of the A-Team TV show, but in movie form.
That sounds awful. No, I don't remember.
I feel like they both had a big team over the top action dynamic.
Yeah.
So I feel like they kind of blended together for people. I think overall The Losers is actually a better movie. I don't think it's a fantastic movie. I like the comic better, which we'll get into for a few minutes. But I do think the movie is worth watching because it's a lot of fun. And the best part about it is Chris Evans as Jensen. And Jensen is the funniest character in the comic, and he's hilarious in the movie.
Jensen's the computer guy, right?
With the blonde highlights, yeah.
Yeah.
He's really good in that movie. And they have that scene where he points the finger guns at the guys, and it looks like he's shooting them with his mind, but it's really Cougar behind him with a sniper rifle. That scene's really cool in the movie.
Oh, okay, good. Well, I will add that to my ever-expanding list that I need to see.
The sad thing is that they were going to make a sequel, but I don't think it made enough money to justify a sequel. And it ends in a somewhat satisfying way, but you could tell that they were hoping to make more. I'll put it that way. And the cool thing was they actually incorporated the jock art into the actual movie, with like the credits and things like that.
Oh,
Like you would meet a character and then you would see their name right next to them, and a sketch of Jock art would go over their face, and it was really cool. I liked how they
that
really
is cool.
incorporated his art into it.
Streakazoid is speaking up for me. Speak for yourself, Taylor. I don't think Jess has an evil bone in his body. I don't have evil in my body. I just hate everybody.
Well, as the minister of comics, I don't want to get into a theological debate tonight, so we
Right.
can just leave it at that. But people seem to be really impressed that you've done so many shows recently. You had a show last night and at 2 o'clock with Omar, and you're back at it at 8 o'clock.
I know the answer to the. Oh, well, good. Well, thank you, everybody. I am aware of that. He said you could play it for her. You can play it for me. Now play it. That is what he said. Don't mess with me on Casablanca.
Streakazoid has a good point. People forget how good Chris Evans was with the comedic performances since he's so associated with Cap. He's hilarious in Scott Pilgrim. That's a movie I've never seen.
I've never seen that. I want.
Did you see Knives Out?
No.
He was really good in that movie. I think he's a great actor. I think early on in his career he did a lot of stinkers, but I think he's been choosing his roles a lot carefully recently, especially since his Captain America career. Because back when he was Johnny Storm in the original Fantastic Four movies, those movies really stunk.
I'm surprised that he made that.
He was good in the movie, though. He was really good as Johnny Storm.
Yeah, I know, but I'm surprised that he was able to make that they chose him, even though the movie did poorly, that he was the one that they picked to choose for Captain America when they could have picked, anybody. I was always surprised that they picked somebody that had already been in a Marvel movie. I love it. He was great. I especially love Chris Evans in the end game Avengers scene where he goes back in time and starts fighting himself.
Oh yeah.
And old Cap says, "I could do this all day," and Cap from the future goes, "I know."
You always say that. Yeah, I can't imagine a better Captain America than Chris Evans.
No, I think you're right.
I think for the most part, the MCU has been cast perfectly. I mean, they have had some missteps. Like I know you really like Captain Marvel, the movie. I think Brie Larson is woefully miscast. I think she has no charisma in that movie. But I think Edward Norton wasn't the best choice for the original Hulk, which is why they went with Mark Ruffalo, who I think is a lot better.
Yeah.
But can you imagine anybody else being Tony Stark rather than Robert Downey Jr.?
No.
I can't imagine anybody else. And the tragic death of Chadwick Boseman, he was great as Black Panther.
Yeah.
Paul Rudd as Scott Lang, just fantastic casting.
Yeah.
Chris Hemsworth as Thor is perfect casting too. I can't imagine anybody else playing Thor. He legit actually looks like he would be a Norse god. The way he looks. He's the kind of person you look at and being like, why can't I look like that? Like, what the heck?
Oh,
why did I get stuck in this body?
The only guy I feel there's plenty of guys I feel that way about that are like that. I can't stand Ryan Gosling. Handsome, talented, and he can play the hell out of the piano. That really pisses me off.
Yeah, he's good at everything.
Yeah. And then, of course, Chris Pine, who I love as Captain Kirk, and as Steve Trevor too. But I am 100% in love with my wife. But man, Chris Pine is handsome. Wow, is he handsome?
There's a lot of handsome Chris's around. Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pine, Chris Pratt,
Chris Evans.
Yeah, so there's a lot of them.
Yeah, Chris Bragg. No, it's Jess Bragg. Damn it.
So you're a big Star Trek fan. So you were a big fan of Chris Pine as Captain Kirk?
Yeah. I love the movies that he did.
I love that original 2009 Star Trek movie. That was a fantastic movie. That was the best of all the new ones, in my opinion.
The first reboot?
Yeah, the first reboot in 2009, where it's kind of like it kind of ties into the original series and the original movies because it kind of goes back in time in some ways and kind of messes with the timeline. I'm not a big Trekkie. I usually think Star Trek's really boring. That's just my opinion. And so that's why
I'll be taking care of you guys tonight myself.
I'm just being honest. There's always the debate versus Star Trek versus Star Wars. And I never watched Star Trek as a kid. I think that's the big thing. I didn't watch it when I was younger. And so when I came to it when I was older, I'm just like, I don't know if this is really for me, but the Star Trek reboots haven't action that really appeals to me.
Yeah.
The actors are really good. And so I know some people aren't a big fan of the new movies because they don't feel like Star Trek, but maybe that's why I like them.
I feel sorry for people who feel like has to be Star Wars versus Star Trek. I love them both like crazy, and my life is rich and fulfilling because of it.
Well, all the Star Trek shows are on Netflix, so maybe I should give them a try.
Thank you, Joe Chip. I may print that out with your
Well, Jess, if
permission.
you were
Print
going to
that out.
say which show should I try first of all the Star Trek stuff?
Oh, now what did you say? Where are they? Hulu?
Most of them are on Netflix. I think they have the original series, Next Generation. They have Deep Space Nine, and I think Voyager. They don't have Discovery on there though, or Picard.
Yeah, those are on CBS All Access. I think for someone new to the show, I would probably start with the Next Generation. And then I would watch something different once you're done with that. And then I would go back to the original series because I think the original series probably looks really dated at this point.
Even Next Generation probably does with the 90s graphics.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
You kind of have to look past that kind of stuff. Like, whenever you watch the original Ghostbuster movie, like the special effects are pretty bad, but it's like you have to remember this is made in early 1980s. You can't hold them to the same standard as today.
Yeah, but also there are a lot of plot holes and problems with the original Star Trek, and I bow to no man as loving the original cast and of Star Trek as more than I do. I love that show. I've seen every episode 700 times. But God bless America if Kirk doesn't fall in love in an hour. Does it with the girl, and then it tragically ends by the end of the show. That is 90% of the episodes, and I'm always like, what? How'd that happen? What he's doing it with her too? And there's all this. I mean, how they work that in, I guess, is supposed to be some type of way to humanize him or make him some kind of charming, handsome leading man that he's bedding down every single female that comes onto the ship. But it seems it seems really ridiculous at this point.
I think your green skin is very attractive.
Ooh, Susan Oliver with green skin in that first in the pilot that they turned into a double part episode. She was attractive with green skin.
And Captain Kirk's not even in the first episode, the pilot episode, right?
Pilot episode, no, it's Jeffrey Hunter.
It's Captain Pike, right?
Yeah.
And Spock isn't even really Spock in a way. He doesn't really act like Spock.
Well, he smiles. Yeah, he does a big smile.
I heard they make a big deal about that in the new Discovery show. Isn't Spock in that? A younger version?
He just showed up, yeah.
Okay.
This season.
I'm thinking about just maybe looking up the best episodes of the original series and checking those out because it seems like it's a pretty self-explanatory show. Like you can just kind of jump in at any point with the original one at least, as long as you know who the characters are. I always hear the best episode is The City on the Edge of Forever or something.
Yep. Written by Harlan Ellison.
Right. I think got edited a lot by Gene Roddenberry, and Harlan was pretty upset about it from what I've heard.
Bits.
Did you ever hear Neil Gaiman tell a story about Harlan calling him? Like they were friends?
No, I know that Harlan was super upset with how they hacked it to bits. There was like 3 words left of his original script.
Right, he hates Gene Roddenberry, or he hated it because he's passed away. Well, they both are. But maybe I'll have to watch some of those classic episodes, kind of get a flavor for it, and just kind of skip the ones that are a little bit.
Oh yeah, Lloyd Wong's right. Mirror Mirror was a great one. They take Mirror Mirror, the episode, and they take that throughout all of the Star Trek shows. That concept.
And Lloyd Wong says the Next Generation's first couple seasons are pretty bad.
Okay, well that's Lloyd's opinion.
I hear that a lot about Star Trek, that the first couple seasons of most of these shows are pretty bad, but it gets better later on. I heard what's the one that everyone really likes? Is it Deep Space Nine? Like
that's the one I hate.
Oh, is it Voyager? What's the one that everyone really likes?
Voyager, I don't think people like that much. I think it's Next Generation is one that
Okay.
everybody likes.
I remember when I was like 7 or 8. I for some reason I went with one of my friends and his mom to go see Star Trek Insurrection. Do you remember that movie? I remember being
Yeah.
bored to tears by it. So it was like, what is going on? I'd never seen any Star Trek anything. And I
Oh, it
was
was
like,
so
this
cool. That whole planet had a youthful effect on people.
yeah, I just remember it being like sandy, and I just remember like them with the phasers. The phasers look like little mouse pads and stuff. And it's like, what's going on? So maybe I would like it better a little bit now because I know how important it is to the nerd and science fiction community. So I kind of want to have that in my backlog of knowledge, but I kind of have that like childhood memory in my brain of like that was so boring. I almost saw Nemesis, and I was like, I heard that was terrible.
Nemesis. That could have been like a TV show. It was not a movie. The way it was set up, it looked like and was acted out like it was a television show and not a big screen epic.
Well,
So it was
that's a
very
lot of
odd.
them. That's a lot of the movies, from what I've heard. They could have just been TV episodes.
Mm, I don't think so. That's my opinion, but Nemesis in particular seems to be more of a TV episode um, than all the other Jean-Luc Picard ones or
I
even the Kirk ones.
I heard First Contact's a really good movie. That's a good one to start out with.
Uh,
It
you
has the
could,
Borgs or
well,
something.
you can't see Wrath of Khan without seeing the Khan episode in
Oh,
original Star Trek.
but I heard the
That,
original Star Trek movie's horrible. The first one.
yes, you
So
can
skip
avoid
that.
that.
Okay, skip it.
Um, you need to see the Ricardo Montalban Khan in Star Trek. Then you need to see Wrath of Khan, uh, the movie, and they take bits of it and it appears in the second Star Trek reboot movie.
Into Darkness.
Right.
They
And
kind of switched the tables with like Kirk's the one who
right.
I've seen like the Spock death scene. I've seen the funeral. He was the most human. Like I've seen I've seen I've seen I've seen that.
Very nice.
Yeah, so
Um,
I have some. I know like one of the ones that people hate a lot is the one where I think they come like face to face with God or something or a god.
Number
He's
five
like,
was one of the worst movies ever
I have a
made.
question. Why does God need a starship?
Right. He like that was their gift to him. He wrote it, directed it, and acted in it. William Shatner, and it was awful.
Well, here's the question: who do you like better, Captain Kirk or Captain Picard?
That's a good question. I'll tell you who I really like is number one from Discovery now, Rebecca Romaine. I love her 50s do. I don't know. Picard's pretty tough to beat.
I think Patrick Stewart's just a better actor in general.
Oh well, yeah.
I mean, Shatner kind of has like one mode, which is Shatner, whereas
Yeah,
Patrick Stewart's like a classically trained like Shakespearean actor.
yeah. Oh yeah,
It was kind of crazy he was in Star Trek: The Next Generation. I
yeah.
mean, he's been a guy. It's like why is he so attracted to nerd roles? He just loves like science fiction, fantasy stuff, like being Charles Xavier, being Jean-Luc Picard. He like brings like a sense of like gravitas and seriousness to these roles, whereas most people would probably laugh them off back then, especially.
Mm, yeah.
He's a perfect Professor X. Can you imagine anybody else? I mean, besides James McAvoy, but he was really good too. But like, he was perfect. Streakazoid says, "Put it this way: if I was a crew member, I would feel a lot safer if Picard was the captain."
Lloyd Wong, I'm sorry. Star Trek 4 was called The Voyage Home.
Ooh.
Star Trek 3 is Search for Spock. Peace and love, peace and love. But The Voyage Home was really good. I agree that I really enjoyed that movie.
Yeah, so I actually liked Into Darkness. The reason I think I liked it because I didn't have that background of Wrath of Khan in the original series. So I didn't really see how it was kind of a rip off in some ways.
Well, it wasn't a ripoff. They did homages in
Well,
it to previous episodes.
that's how people phrase it, I guess, from what I've heard. So I think some people were mad because they didn't like how they kind of like homaged it, I guess.
Oh, it was
I,
fun.
I thought it was a good movie.
It was fun. It was totally fun.
And Beyond was fun. I didn't think it was the best one of the three, but I thought it was fun.
No, yeah, it was still fun. Um, and I don't. I still haven't seen Picard the show, so I got to get going on that.
And you know who actually wrote most of those episodes and was a showrunner was Michael Chabon. Do you know who that is?
I certainly do. The Amazing Adventures of Cavalier and Clay.
Yes. Have you read that book?
One of the best books I've ever read.
I need to read that. I have it on my Kindle.
Are you saying he was the showrunner to Picard?
For the first season. He wrote some of the episodes too. He was the showrunner. Yeah.
Interesting.
So you might like it. I know you're a big fan of Discovery. It seems like you're more open to changes than most Star Trek fans are. Because a lot of Star Trek fans get really mad about the current state of Star Trek. And that's true for Star Wars fans too. I think both are just, I mean, Star Wars has taken a lot of missteps in the past like 10 years. So I get it. I can't speak to the Star Trek stuff as much because I haven't really watched them besides the movies. I haven't watched the TV shows. But I think it's hard to take these established franchises that are so connected to your childhood and try to make them new and fresh. People want kind of the same. But once they get the same, they complain that it's not different. So you can't really win no matter what you do.
I want change. I'm interested in change. Something to make it interesting. I can't understand anybody with the attitude they want something to stay the same. I'm all for. That's why I like Discovery. They take all these concepts that I can't even imagine and make them into the drive them right into the plot. And I'm just like, how did they even come up with this? And it's all kinds of different species and cultures and everything. And I think it's great. I don't want to always see Captain Kirk and as the main guy. I like the change, and I don't understand. I wasn't aware. I guess because I pay so little attention to the outside world, I wasn't aware that Star Trek fans didn't care for lots of things. I guess that makes sense.
And I think the reason why I think the newest trilogy of Star Wars movies really suffered is because they didn't have a clear plan or vision, and they kind of like just stuck to the mold of the original trilogy. I think that's especially true for Force Awakens and Rise of Skywalker, especially. I'm in the minority of really liking The Last Jedi because it did something new and different. And then J.J. Abrams in the third one's like, I don't care about that. Just throw it all out. And Palpatine's coming back randomly. It doesn't make sense, but just go with it. I just, the more I think about Rise of Skywalker, the more I dislike it.
Yeah.
It made no sense. It came out of nowhere. There was no unity at all in it. And it was just really a frustrating viewing experience. And I like Force Awakens, but I have never rolled my eyes harder in a movie than whenever they realized it was like a giant Death Star all over again. I was like, come on, another Death Star? Like, that hasn't worked. Just don't, why they keep doing it? So my favorite new Star Wars thing is The Mandalorian. I just like having new characters, new scenarios. It's fantastic. And I can't wait for the new season to start at the end of this month.
Yeah, I think I may have even gotten my wife to agree to watch The Mandalorian with me, because I have stuffed the child that's about this big, and it sits in the passenger seat of my car, like in The Mandalorian, and she asked about it, and so I gave her a 2-minute elevator pitch on it, why I liked having him as my co-pilot, like the bounty hunter does. And she said, that sounds interesting. I might like to watch that with you. And I go, okay.
I have a picture. You can't really see it. It's kind of Sam next to the child at a toy store. There you go.
Yeah.
He loved it. He was smiling such a big smile whenever he saw it. I'll have to get that for him when he gets older.
I agree with Marcelo. Rogue One has been the best one.
See, I wasn't a huge fan of that, and I've watched it like 3 times. I think I have 2 big things that really took me out of the experience. I didn't care about any of the characters, and I mean, spoiler alert for a movie that's like 5 years old. When everybody dies at the end, I didn't really care. I was like, all right. And whenever they did that CGI for Tarkin's face, it looked so fake, and it really took me out of those scenes. And I was like, oh, that looks so weird. Like, it doesn't look like him at all. So,
It must be hard to be you.
but I will say it had the coolest Darth Vader scene in history when he's
Oh
still
yeah.
so there are parts of it that I like.
Than that.
I just didn't care about like the thing about Star Wars is that you need characters that you really attach to, like Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, Lando Calrissian. I didn't care about any of the characters in that movie besides the big robot. That was pretty much it. I was more sad droid dying. I'm sorry, it's Star Wars. I shouldn't say robot. Sorry.
A robot.
Take my nerd card away. It was a droid. I cared more about the droid dying than any of the humans. But I actually liked Solo. It wasn't a great movie, but it was pretty good.
Okay, no.
I mean, once you get past Harrison Ford being the only real Han Solo, I thought it was a decent movie. It wasn't great, but it was fun.
Except for the two lead actors being so miscast and dull. I mean, I don't think Emilia Clarke can act at all, and I don't even know Solo's real name. He was bland as vanilla yogurt, man. Come on.
I'm not telling you it was a great movie. I'm just saying it was better than I went in with such low expectations. I'll put it that way.
Okay.
I actually had fun. Like, I'm not going to watch it again, but I thought it was fun.
I probably would watch it again just for fun, but it's my least favorite of all of them.
Because I went in with such low expectations because Harrison Ford's like my favorite actor of all time. Like Indiana Jones. I mean, I have Raiders of the Lost Ark poster over here, so it's pretty obvious that I love Harrison Ford. I mean, I think he's the greatest movie star of all time. And so trying to recast him is like, oh my gosh, like really? What? What's that face?
Greatest actor of all time.
No, I said greatest movie star.
Oh.
Greatest movie star.
Well, you're still wrong on that, but go ahead.
A movie star is like carrying like big blockbuster movies. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
I don't know how you can really compete with Harrison Ford back in his prime because he really goes through the motions, especially recently, in a lot of his movies. But if you watch Blade Runner 2049, that's his best performance in decades. It is like a heartbreaking performance. It's much better than his original performance as Deckard in the original Blade Runner.
I still see it, so I can't judge it.
Blade Runner 2049 is one of my top 3 favorite sci-fi movies. It's a great movie. It's much. I love the original Blade Runner, but it's much better in my opinion on every level.
Okay.
Should we actually get into the books we're going to talk about today? I forgot we were doing a review show.
We've been live for 27 minutes and we haven't even reviewed any of the books. But I will say that I used the laptop, my laptop holder to read these Blacksad books.
Blacksad.
Because I'm always in shorts and the corners of these things always hurt in my lap. So I'm always so like little trades like this, I'm fine with just reading on their own. But something big like this, I use my laptop foam desk thing that I showed off last night on Omnibros. So we were talking about that before the show started. So
right.
Not only is it good for laptops, but it rules for Omnis and oversized hardcovers.
Yeah, Jess uses that pillow a lot for his eBay business.
Yes.
Jess has a good side hustle selling.
We need to talk about that.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
It's not a side hustle. It helps fund my health insurance.
Well, that's what I said. It wasn't like your main job, but you can make a lot of money from it. That's all I'm saying. Sorry.
Okay, take it easy. So what do you want to talk about first? You want to talk about Blacksad?
Sure, since you already have those. I got the complete collection. It's a paperback. Cool. And someone was asking earlier on the show, sorry we didn't answer that question earlier, if there's going to be any more Blacksad. Ever since you said Blacksad, I keep saying Blacksad.
For some reason, it comes out wrong when I say it. I know it's Blacksad, and I always want to say, oh, it's European. It must be Blacksad.
Yeah, so I think that there's another 2 volumes coming out. Is it France? Or Spain? No, it's Spain. So there's 2 more coming out in Spain. and then they transfer them to English. So we probably won't get that for another year or two, I'm guessing.
That's good
So
news that they're coming.
there's only 5 as of right now. 5 stories, that is. Wait, is that true? Yeah, there's 5.
The first one has, I think, 3 stories.
Oh, there's 6 stories. Sorry. There's 6 stories altogether.
Oh, okay. 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
So Joe Chip says it's actually Spain, but published in France. Okay, that's why I was so confused. I remember seeing something about France as I was doing my original research for this book. But this is a great option for those of you who don't have the hardcovers, because it's only $30 cover price for this paperback, whereas all the books that Jess has are $30 individually.
Yeah.
So that's like $90 cover for all of those books. You can get them cheaper on in-stock trades, I'm assuming, but only $30 and cheaper on IST just for this one volume.
Well, now hang on. This was $18.
Oh, was it? All right. Well, good, because that last story is like really short, so that'd be a really small.
Yeah, and this is $20 cover price.
Okay, but still, it's still a really good deal.
That is a good deal. I'm glad they did that.
And that's why I think Dark Horse really puts like Marvel and DC to shame with the really excellent prices that they have. Like their library editions are $50, but they're worth that. And like they really have a good price for their books. Whereas like Marvel will make you pay $50 for something that's not even worth that price tag for the amount of issues that they have.
Like that Hawkeye omnibus that was
right, $100 for 20 issues. It's like, what, really?
Right.
Sometimes I don't get how they decide between the $100 omnibus or the $75 omnibus. It seems like it's just like, hey, whatever we feel like doing today.
Yeah.
But anyway, I think this is a really good bang for your buck if you want to read this series. So Jess, I think you have more of a history with this series that you've read more than once. I've only read it once. So what do you think about this series overall?
Well, overall, I love it. I don't claim to be an expert on it. I just have I don't even remember when I first started reading it, but it just really appealed to me. Another anthropomorphic one that I like is the Grandville stories by Brian Talbot. Those are also from Dark Horse. But something about Blacksad, it's anthropomorphic, but the way they're drawn, they've got like human hands almost and feet practically, and the faces are even though they're anthropomorphic, they are very humanish, which sort of brings it. It's not outlandish or unbelievable. It makes it more like a more realistic crime story, even though it's sort of like Zootopia, where all these different creatures are working together.
Yeah, I showed my wife some of the art, and she's like, "Oh, it's like Zootopia." I'm like, "Yeah, but kids should never read this.
No,
it's just for adults. Unless you want to traumatize your child."
Yeah. So while I'm talking about it, let me show it here.
I'm going to read the back of the volume as you show some of the art.
Yeah, and I'll tell you.
Blacksad. Private investigator John Blacksad has the unfortunate talent of getting into trouble wherever he goes. His enemies would say he can't help sticking his nose where it doesn't belong, but others would tell you that he is just a good cat trying to do the right thing in a bad world. With every case he takes, Blacksad puts all 9 of his lives on the line, solving murders, kidnappings, high-stakes political mysteries, and more. I can't even say his last name. Giornito's sumptuously painted pages in rich cinematic style bring back the world of 1950s America to vibrant life, while Canales weaving captivating stories of conspiracy, racial tension, and the Red Scare communist witch hunt of the time. Earning nearly a dozen of comics' highest awards and praise from masters such as Stan Lee, Jim Steranko, Neil Adams, Will Eisner, Blacksad has become a genre-defining international bestseller. And so this is a fantastic series. I kind of held off for a while because of the anthropomorphic animal stuff. I'm like, I don't know if I want to get into that. And if you feel that way about it, don't let that stand in the way. It's a fantastic story. You almost forget about the animals as you start reading it, because it really delves into society and it really helps you understand humanity from a different angle. Because I think the second storyline was my favorite. the one that had the racial angle.
The Arctic Nation.
Right. The Arctic Nation is kind of the white supremacists of this version of the world, and it's
Yeah.
all white animals. And
Not
so,
the same animals, but all animals that are white colored.
right. And Blacksad's kind of in a strange position, but he's a black cat, but he has a white mouth.
Yeah.
And so he's kind of on the fringe in a way, but he's a little bit more accepted because he has that white mouth a little bit. So I thought that was really interesting. Like that one scene in the beginning of that second story where it's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they went there, where you see this black vulture being hung.
Oh, lynched. Yeah.
Being lynched. It just really goes for it.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah. It really shows you how humanity does horrible things to one another.
Right. It's so, to me, it's so authentic and such a retelling of humanity's foibles that it made me uncomfortable, which is good because I think a good comic elicits emotions out of you. The racial angle, I seem to be reading a lot of comics this year. It's either, and they're old, so it's just I just happen to be picking up on them, but they seem to have a lot of racial angles in them, and as I get older, I notice I notice the issue more and more of this kind of this sort of mindless racism that seems to be I don't want to say it's you're born with it, but it seems to be pervasive, and more comics that I'm reading seem to be showing it than 10 or 15 years ago, maybe, which I think is a good thing. And I'm not an advocate of any kind of whitewashing of history or anything, but I also like that it almost makes it seem more palatable to see a scene like this with the white colored animals, different animals, but they're white. The only thing is they all have white fur, and it makes racism seem even more ridiculous because I'm supposed to be better than you are because I have white fur and I'm an otter, and you're a black cat. I don't know. It's just weird to me. And the characters in that story, what was the fox's name? Stinky or something?
Weekly.
Yeah,
he's my favorite. He's my favorite character.
I think so too.
He's a news photographer, and he follows Blacksad around. He loves milkshakes. Wait, isn't it like a spiked milkshake of some kind?
Bourbon milkshake.
Yeah, bourbon milkshake. And so he always follows Blacksad around in his cases, and he's hilarious. He's like the comic relief of the book.
Yeah, and this book needs comic relief because it deals with some really dark things.
Especially like I've already said, that second story. The second story is by far my favorite. I think it had the darkest elements out of all of them.
I agree, yeah.
I thought the first story was good. It was a good entry. The second one was the best. I really like the third one with the nuclear scientists and like how the ties to Nazi Germany and stuff. That was really fascinating.
I agree.
I really enjoyed that story a lot. I thought my least favorite story is probably the final one where he's driving that guy's car across America and he comes across that one lion who commits murder. I thought that one was decent, but they were all at least good. And there were some that were excellent in my mind. Yeah, that was probably my least favorite, but it's still worth reading.
It's got lots of what I think. First of all, that's a bitchin' car.
Oh yeah.
I think that one thing I noticed in the difference between the books is the coloring, as it's more muted in the first. Well, with my editions, the first and the third book, and then when he goes to New Orleans, it's really, to me, it's the coloring gets more vibrant and more exciting, I think, and it evocative. It creates an atmosphere, I think, that goes along with New Orleans reputation
Right.
of being colorful and stuff going on there that's not necessarily on the up and up, but you can get into trouble there if you look for it, or you can just have fun. But there's lots of the art is just freaking fantastic,
Oh
and
yeah.
The coloring is beautiful in all the series.
Look at this page. That's fantastic.
Yeah,
New Orleans.
that's the page I was looking for.
I think you're right, because it starts out in New York, where New York has so many muted colors like gray and black, and it's much different when you go. He goes to Las Vegas at one point. He goes to New Orleans, and I like how they have a really good sense of place wherever they go, and the color palette changes, like you said. Which, I mean, it can be easy just kind of have the same color palette, but that takes a lot of intention, and it really sucks you into the story even more.
Mm-hmm.
So that was really cool. That was a really cool aspect of the book.
Yeah, I love how the animals, or they call themselves humans. So I love how they just interact with each other. The expressions on their faces, the way they're drawn is the way that they're drawn, I think, helps with the writing. I think a good artist helps tell the story even better, and I can see why this team is so well regarded, because you've got somebody writing a great story, and it's pushed through to you visually in such an impressive way that you really make a connection with it.
Right.
Like this hippo going crazy.
There's actually a video game of this series.
Oh yeah, I'd heard about that. I've never played
by
it.
Telltale, but it's kind of like a Telltale game where you pick what you say and what you do. I haven't heard a lot about it, but I think I might check it out, see if it's worth the buy, because I really
like the Telltale games. I played Walking Dead, and then I had A Wolf Among Us on my desktop of my old computer that I spilled Coke on. So I never got the chance to play it, but I should get that because I don't think they're expensive.
Little Nemo.
Effing Little Nemo.
I love the Batman Telltale games, and I'm sad they're not making anymore because I love those two games they put out.
Oh, I didn't know about those.
Well, I think Telltale went bankrupt and they went out of business.
Oh, that's too bad.
I think there might be a company that's picking their games up and maybe going forward with them. Someone in the chat can let us know, but I definitely want to check this game out, see if it's worth the buy or not. It's not a Telltale game, but it's in the same style of a Telltale game.
This is Blacksad?
Yeah, I think it would go really well in that format because it's investigating mysteries, it's talking to people, interviewing people. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah,
and I really like the character of John Blacksad. He's a great protagonist, and I really want to see more of this book. This is definitely a crime noir classic that all crime fans need to have in their collection, whether it's this format or the 3 hardcovers that Jess has. This is a must buy, in my opinion.
I agree, 100%.
Like I said, all the stories weren't A+, but they're all at least worth the read.
And Jesus says Wolf Among Us is so great. Well, I'll reinstall it.
And that's tied into Fables, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
so you definitely like that, then.
I only got a few minutes into the game before I spilled the Coke on my computer. So.
But I think it's really fantastic that the artist is so good at drawing American city and landscapes where he doesn't actually live in America. That's really impressive.
Yeah.
So I think this gets a stamp of approval from the Minister of Comics and OmniDog.
I give it a solid A if we're doing letter grades.
Yeah, me too. I would give it an A.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely one of those staple crime books that you have to have, like Ed Brubaker's Criminal, Greg Rucka, like Black Magic and Stumptown. You just need to have these books because they're crime classics.
Yeah. They are fun to read and reread.
As Omar Reyes says, art alone is worth the read, and that's definitely true. All right, do you want to go to our next series?
What is our next series?
I have the losers next on my
okay.
I can't even think right now. My pile. Couldn't think of the word. All right, so these are, just to warn everybody, these books aren't readily available on Amazon, IST, or cheap graphic novels, but they're not that expensive to get on eBay or the secondary market. I got each of these for like $20 maybe. So they really weren't that expensive. I got them for a round cover price.
Yeah, and I paid less than that because I got them from Half Price Books
Okay.
online, and I'm sure I paid $10 a piece for them.
And of all the books that we read, I think this is the most fun that I had reading them. Especially this first volume was like just a action blockbuster movie that was so quick, so fast paced, and as art by one of my favorite artists. We talked about last night on Omni Bros, Jock. He's one of my top 5 favorite artists. Jess, do you want to show off the art while I read the back?
Sure.
All right. They're done taking orders. The agency thought it had closed the book on the losers. After the team saw a little too much at the wrong place and time, their chopper went down in flames with no survivors and plenty of deniability. And the losers went down in the records as just another squad of special forces foot soldiers tragically lost to one of the CIA's shadow wars. But the losers were just playing dead, and now they've seen what the agency is really up to. They're through with games. Now it's time to take the fight back to its source. So, Jess, I read this a couple weeks ago, maybe like 3 weeks ago. I think you just finished it yesterday, so it's more fresh in your mind. What was your overall opinion of this series?
I found this to be, I was going to say a blast, which is a stupid thing to say because there's so much explosive stuff going on in this. And Omar, we'll answer your question in just a sec about black magic. We do have an answer for that. It is really well written with really kinetic art. I really loved the whole scenarios, but I will say there are so many double crosses and triple crosses, fourple crosses, whatever. I mean, you don't know. You can only really trust the losers, and in the losers, there's somebody that you don't even know if you can trust in them. And
yeah, there's like 2 characters actually.
Yeah,
you're not really sure about.
And I really loved this book a lot. I think the writing, Andy Diggle, I don't think gets enough credit for being a writer. This book makes me want to read a lot more by him. I know you and I both just got Ratcatcher.
I just got his James Bond books in. I'm excited.
Okay, I did too. Yeah, I did too. I want to start reading more Andy Diggle because this was really well thought out. It is one of those, there's that meme with that guy from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia with all the string going everywhere with
Pepe Sylvia.
Yeah, I don't know the show, but I know the meme. But I feel like that's what Andy Diggle had to do because there's so much connecting everywhere and everything, and so many plans go south, and then all of a sudden they figure out a way to make it right, but then all of a sudden there's somebody new player in it, and the old guy gets away, and there's an amazing. They did make a movie, Omar.
We were just talking about that at the beginning of the show, talking about the movie.
Yeah, I just loved it. It is so. At no point does it ever let up. It's nonstop action that's interesting and fun, and really held my attention and made me want to keep reading. And I was sorry when it ended.
And not every issue is drawn by Jock, but even the fill-in artists are still good. I hate whenever fill-in artists are so subpar, it really rips you out of the story. I feel like there wasn't a bad artist in the bunch. Obviously, Jock was by far the best in my opinion, but everybody else was really solid.
I think so too.
I think this first volume is a really just kinetic, fun action ride, and the second volume is when the story gets really complex.
Yeah,
and a lot of those threads really come to bear, like you were already talking about. I feel like I read this first volume very quickly, and it took me a while to finish the second volume.
I agree.
It had more issues, but it's also more dense. There's more dialogue, there's more exposition, more explaining, because the main villain, Max, really comes to bear in this book, and he has a big overarching plan that really takes a lot to unpack and understand. And the main villain is pretty intense and pretty insane. You find out who he really is.
And his ultimate motive, I thought, was an amazing thing, amazing thing.
It definitely it kind of jumps the shark with his plan. You kind of have to go with it. It
Yeah.
really because I wouldn't say the book's ever realistic because it's really out there action. You just have to go into this book saying, okay, the overarching mastermind plan is going to be a little bit over the top, but it's very interesting. And T-Lar Blunt's in the chat.
T-Lar Blunt. T-Lar, how's it going? Oh, buddy, thank you so much. Look, where is it? What I have for you? Here it is.
Oh, T-Lar, he has a gift for you, but not for me.
It's not a gift. He has to pay for it.
Okay.
I got it at Walgreens for him.
Oh, nice.
And the fact that it's still here in my hands will bother him because it means it's not in the mail on his way to him yet.
Wasn't there a toy that he took a long time to send your way, and you guys were about it?
Yes.
How long did that take?
To send me Mystique.
Oh, so are you gonna just dangle that Moon Knight in front of him?
Yeah, look at see, he's already bummed out. Here it
Tyler, you can only play with that toy once your tax deadline is over. So Justin's gonna hold it over your head till you're done.
April 15th, 2021 is when you're getting this.
Yeah, so I think the first volume is a lot different than the second volume in a way. I think the first volume, like I said, is really quick. I read it really quickly. The second one was a lot more dense, but I thought it really brought an extra dimension to the story that wasn't there before, in my opinion. Yeah, Tyler, you missed it early on. Someone said that Jess didn't have an evil bone in his body, but apparently he was wrong.
They found it out in me.
Well, Jess, if you really like this series, you need to read Green Arrow Year One, because it's by the same exact team of Diggle and Jock. That's a great book.
Someone, Streakazoid, mentioned that. Diggle and Jock.
Streakazoid has great taste, so you should listen to him.
I think you're the one that talked me into getting it.
It's a great book. You have the deluxe edition, right?
Yeah, I do. I just looked at it.
Wow, Tyler, you're really clogging up the chat here, man. You're spamming us right now.
I'm sending it. I'm sending it. Don't get upset. I'm sending it.
He's expecting it by Thursday, next Thursday.
Prepare to be disappointed then.
And this is a really underrated Vertigo book. I never hear anybody talk about it. Do you?
I did. It wasn't. I didn't even know it was Vertigo until you pointed it out when we started reading it.
And I'm so glad I tracked this book down. Like I said, it's not readily accessible, but you can find it for decent prices if you look on eBay.
Yeah, I will give you 100% of the credit. This was all your idea. I appreciated being exposed to this book because it's great.
I kind of told you to get it before I even read it myself, so I guess that worked out pretty well for me. I just really wanted to read it.
Well,
I told you about it.
You know, it's easy to get me to buy a book. You just say, hey, Jess, you should buy it. It's really good.
Or there's times where I'm like, I'm thinking about buying this, then Jess will just buy it, and I don't even buy it myself. And I'm like, ooh, sorry.
Hey, about that book you were talking about. Oh, I've got it on Hoopla.
Yeah, whenever we were first beginning our friendship, I thought it was funny to make you buy stuff. At this point, it's like, it's too easy. I'll just do it whenever he really should read a book that I like. Yeah,
no, it's a great addition to my collection.
Oh yeah, and these are really nice thick trades. They look great on my Vertigo shelf.
Worth finding.
Yeah, I almost wish we had read these before our Vertigo show because I think it's very underrated, and more people need to know about it. Yeah. I think we're gonna do an underappreciated Vertigo video at some point on Batter Days, and this will definitely make an appearance on my list at least. So giving you a spoiler alert for that.
That is a good one. Vertigo stories. Okay, good.
I think I have 3 that pop into my mind, and The Losers is one of them, so I'm not going to spoil my other choices. And you've read more Vertigo than I have, so you'll probably have a lot more choices.
Yeah. Streakazoid, yeah, you are too trusting. When it comes to Tyler and me and our action figures, we mess with each other all the time.
Yeah, apparently the action figure game is pretty cutthroat from what I've heard from you guys.
I mean, Tyler and me it is.
Well, you guys are getting me into the action figure game. I got 2 action figures now, and I'm planning on getting 2 more by the end of the year. So you guys have – I'm not dipping my toe as heavily as Tyler is. I'm not going to be buying 30 nondescript ninjas. but there are some figures I really want to get this year.
You know what I saw? I don't know. I almost got it, and it doesn't look like it's selling out, so I may go back and get it. It was a T-shirt that was this dark gray with the Thomas Wayne bat symbol.
Ooh, the Flashpoint Batman.
Batman.
That's your favorite Batman.
Sorry, yeah.
That's your favorite.
I will be. I can send you the link just so you can see it. It's not expensive, but I thought that would be really cool because there's only about 4 people that I know that would recognize that as his symbol.
Yeah, most people would just assume it's the regular Batman.
Yeah, and that's why we want to get. That's how we want to get the Thomas Wayne Batman.
Well, I'm definitely going to get that new McFarlane Flashpoint Batman figure. That looks fantastic. 'Cause I think you have some, but none of them are as detailed as this new one looks.
The Thomas Wayne one?
Right. I remember you showing me some pictures, and you're like, this one looks a lot more detailed.
Right.
It's taller. It's 7 inches, which is why Tyler doesn't buy them, because he's only a 6-inch figure collector for some strange reason. Not really sure why. But he won't make that jump, even though we have this fantastic Hellbat, which he needs to buy.
Yes, Hellbat's awesome.
I think it's one of the nicest figures I've seen for $20, which isn't that much for what you really get with that figure.
Streakazoid, if you want to get the T-shirt, it is really cool looking with the Thomas Wayne emblem. It's on Graffiti Designs, where I get all my T-shirts.
And Lloyd Wong said, what's really bad is getting super baited into buying Justice League Rebirth that you'll never read. Which Omar did that to you.
Yeah. I believe I regifted that, as a matter of fact, to a friend of mine.
Oh, man. Was it a friend that you hated?
No, it's a friend that needs some books to read. And I had pulled things off the shelf to donate to the library. And I said, well, I think he's going to enjoy these more than the library. But yeah, Lloyd is 100% right that I got badly super baited on that Justice League book. And
that was one of your first interactions with Omar, wasn't it? Him telling you to get that book?
That was the first or second episode that I ever did with him.
What a bad first impression.
That was it was a correct impression because he loves to mess with people.
Last night when he showed up on Omnibros just to show off Beautiful Darkness.
A book I hated.
I put in the comments, the distasteful Omar. Well, do you want to jump into our final book?
Sure.
And so we reviewed the first volume of this. I think that was actually our first Crime Corner, I think.
Oh, we did?
We reviewed the first volume, and so we're reviewing the second volume. Did you read the first volume too?
I reread it, yeah.
Well, you probably needed to really remember all the things that happened.
100%.
Because I read the first volume twice. I read it on Hoopla once, a couple like a year ago. Then I read it in trade. So I actually remembered all that happened. So I only read this in the past couple of weeks. So this is actually the conclusion to the book.
I am surprised that you bought the trades, and since it's Remender, didn't wait for an oversized hardcover to come out.
Actually, I misspoke last night. Rick Remender is one of the only Image guys that actually get his trade paperbacks for, because I've seen a lot of people post in the group that the binding of those books really falls apart upon a lot of rereads. There was that whole Blacksad, I can't kick that out of my mind. Black Science controversy with that first volume that came out because it was glued and not stitched fine, I think it was. And they redid it again.
Poor gluing, yeah.
Right, so I just kind of stuck with the trades. So I have Deadly Class, Black Science, Fear Agent, and Seven to Eternity in trade. And
you don't have Fear Agent in giant size, dude.
By the time I got to that series, it was out of print. Library editions. But have you seen the trades? How nice they are. They are nice. Super thick. So they're really nice. So I'm fine with these series as is. And there is no library edition of this yet, but actually won't be a library edition because it's Image. There is no oversized deluxe, but it's Remender, so I'm assuming there is going to be one. So if you are a Rick Remender hardcover waiter, I would just read these on Hoopla and not get the trade paperbacks if you're big into his hardcovers, because it will get one eventually. And it's only these 2 volumes. It ends with issue 11. And so, Jess, do you want to show off some of the art while I read the back for
Yo-Yo,
people?
volume 1 or 2?
Ooh.
I'll do both.
Okay. So this is from the trade of the back. 5,000 miles, 4 heists, 3 days, 2 psychopaths, and 1 woman who's had enough. Meet Glory, raised off the grid in a convoy of truckers, the last men and women fighting for true freedom on the American open road. Now, in order to pay for her beloved father's life-saving surgery, Glory has 3 days to pull off 4 dangerous cross-country heists with mob killers, crooked cops, and a psycho ex-husband, all out to bring her in or die trying. Against all these odds, Glory, Red, and what's left of the gang finally make it to their promised land, but it's too little too late. A heart-pounding, tear-jerking tale that can only end one way, in death or glory. So this art is really, really good by Bengal. I think he's a French artist. Is that, or he's maybe Spanish?
I only know that he's European.
Okay. And he drew one of some of the issues of one of Jess's favorite series, apparently, All New Wolverine. And that's getting an Omni next year, which is going to be fantastic. I'm definitely glad I waited to get that Omni and didn't get the trade paperbacks. So, Jess, what did you think about this series, especially Volume 2? So that's our main focus.
It is if you like car chases and over-the-top action and a strong female protagonist, this is the book for you. First of all, I loved the art. I think this guy is famous, for a reason, because he's so great.
Yeah, Rick Remender really attracts some of the best artists in comics. He's really good at pairing himself with really great artists.
Yeah. This artist works faster than what's his name on Seven to Eternity.
Oh, Jerome Pena. I mean, look at that art though on Seven to Eternity. It's some of the greatest art to be done in the past several years.
I agree with that.
I am more than willing to wait for him to do his art.
Yeah.
I know there is some fill-in issues done by other people, but for the most part, he does all of the issues.
Yeah, he's amazing.
The vast majority of the issues.
I find French superstar Bengal. He's legendary. So it's a huge bunch of there's a couple different underlying crime, organized crime type things going on that are really heinous. There's one main thing with a couple of evil groups that are profiting from it, and this might be the one that really depressed me the most, because it seemed so realistic to me. Not the car chases, but the fact that the people in it were just casually evil.
There's a lot of people being exploded by cars in this book. A lot of people getting smashed and blown apart by fast-moving vehicles.
Yeah, and eviscerated and all this stuff. And I was like, I mean, it is a comic book, and that's what I want. I want exciting, action-packed stuff. But I will say it's raw and it's grisly, and it really goes there as far as this is what humanity's capable of. That said, it's really fun, and I enjoyed it because I really enjoyed the main character, Glory. They don't do a lot of backstory to start it off. She hits the ground running, and you learn about her as it goes along, and you learn to appreciate her the more you read about her, because of what she's been through and what she has to deal with in her current life. So I really felt like that was nicely set up, that they didn't do like a traditional beginning of world building with her. It was informing you as the story went along that the world got built, and you were introduced to her and her cause. And I thought that she was really well done by Remender, and I was rooting for her from the beginning, even though I can't say she's somebody I want to sit at the dinner table with me, because she's definitely a loose cannon. But I felt like she had her heart in the right place and was willing to do anything to do the right thing. And I I really enjoyed it, even though it was grisly and depressing.
It really reminded me of Mad Max Fury Road with
Yeah.
the car chase. It's like 3 issues is just like a car chase. And so if that really appeals to you, you'll love this book. If that sounds way over the top, you're probably not going to enjoy this book very much because it's mainly just like a really fast-paced chase all the way through. And like Jess said, there are some, flashbacks to what happened beforehand and kind of does some character setup. In my opinion, the only character you really get to know at all is Glory. And the rest of the supporting characters are kind of, I didn't really care about anybody else besides her. Maybe her dad, but I feel like I don't really know anybody else besides her. And so I feel like maybe that would have benefited from more flashbacks from more of the characters. So I
Mm.
could have cared about them whenever they die or whenever they make a sacrifice, whenever they're going through something. I feel like there maybe another issue of two or just adding more layers onto these characters would have made me attach to them a little bit more. I think
Okay.
overall the characterization was pretty weak except for Glory. So I don't know if you felt that way or maybe that's just my own personal take on it. It's a
Uh,
comic, so I get it. You don't have the page space all the
yeah.
time. But whenever you're seeing these people just like wiped out, you want to feel something for them. And most of the time I was like, oh, that's too bad. And just moved on. You know what I mean? I just didn't really feel that connection. But the one major villain who gets his comeuppance, that was a really good death scene.
Sad.
With what happens to him, it's like, oh man, I can't think of a better way to kill that jerk.
That that's what I said from the beginning when I said the endings of all these books were satisfying. That was satisfying for me.
So I like the way that he was dealt with. I don't know how I felt about the actual ending. It definitely ends in a note I wasn't expecting.
Right.
I wouldn't say it's like a traditional climactic ending, which is fine. I
Yeah.
just wasn't 100% satisfied with it, and maybe that was the point. Because maybe you're supposed to realize life doesn't end perfectly, no matter who you are. There's going to be plot threads that aren't tied up neatly, and maybe that's part of the point of the book. Because the main overarching villain, you don't really see what happens to him at all. He just kind of keeps on going. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how life is, though. A lot of people
Right.
get away and they slip through the cracks. So I'm still thinking about how I feel about the ending. Maybe it's just my own need to want to have more of a resolution, but it doesn't mean it's a bad ending.
Right.
It wasn't the most satisfying for me personally.
Hmm. I will say that in order of violence, I feel like it goes Losers, Death or Glory, and then Blacksad. Blacksad has more fights than shootings, if I recall correctly.
He does kill some people, but it's not nearly as much as these other two books.
The Losers, it's like everybody's getting RPG'd every 2 seconds.
Yeah, I thought this was more violent, just in the way everyone who dies in this book explodes pretty much. So that's why I feel like it's more violent. There's that one major villain who I was talking about who like freezes people to death and breaks them apart.
Right.
So I felt this was more like grotesque and more gross out violence, whereas like per page is probably more deaths than the Losers, though.
Yeah. Okay. Per page, there's more gruesome deaths in Death and Glory. So if that's what you're after, that's what you get with this book. More deaths per page, more gruesome deaths per page.
So how would you rank the books overall? Like your favorite to we enjoyed all of them, but like if you had to say read this one, and this is the one. If you get to it, that's cool. But these are the two you really have to read, and this last one is definitely worth the check out, though.
I'd say that if you get to it, I'm glad I read it, and I'm going to keep it and reread it. But I think Death or Glory, while it still gets an A from me because I enjoyed the heck out of it, I think that Blacksad and the Losers are more memorable long-term, sticking with me.
I agree.
And I think Blacksad as a character is more memorable and sticks with me longer. I would rank it as the top book, even though I gave the Losers an A. You read enough of Blacksad like we did when we read all of his stories, you get attached to him, and he becomes a character you want to read more of. He's a great creation, and it's a great examination of the human condition, because they're really just humans drawn as animals, and it shows, man's inhumanity to man in Blacksad. It's not all bleak. He does have his moments of pleasure. I enjoy in Blacksad when he has his little teeny moments of pleasure here and there, but every PI book that we're ever going to read is always going to be like that. It seems like
They're always the underdog. They're always the outcast, and that's
right.
what John Blacksad is. And that's why I'm so excited about Ed Brubaker's next series, Reckless, because it's about like an unlicensed PI / bounty hunter. And I said to Jess, is there a more perfect Brubaker Phillips book for me than a PI book from those two? I can't think of a better book for me I also agree with you. Blacksad was my favorite book of all of these. I love the PI genre. I love the art. The stories are really interesting. Like you said, the anthropomorphic animals kind of help you understand humanity in a different way, because those things, like you said, those discrepancies in our society and in ourselves come to the forefront in a much deeper way by seeing it through the eyes of animals in a way. So I think Blacksad's my favorite, then The Losers, and then Death or Glory. I think The Losers and Blacksad get an A, whereas the Death or Glory gets a B for me. It was kind of like a schlocky B movie that was a lot of fun, but like you said, it wasn't going to stick in my mind. Didn't have a lot of substance behind it. That's how I felt about it, at least.
I'll give Death or Glory a B plus. I liked it a teensy bit more than you did, I think.
Yeah, I think it's not one of my favorite Remender books, but it's not my least favorite.
I wonder what my favorite is.
My favorite is Black Science. I love Black Science. I think Black Science and Deadly Class are my top two. No, Deadly Class. Sorry, Deadly Science. Black Science and Deadly Class. Those are my two favorites.
I don't know. The first Remender book I ever read was Uncanny X-Force, so that might still be my top one.
See, I read that before I read a lot of other X-Men books. I enjoyed it, but I think I'll enjoy it more now that I have more of an X-Men background.
Right.
And I remember I was really turned off by those Greg Ticini issues.
Oh, I remember you told me that.
I was like, oh my, whenever Deadpool's climbing that building and he's almost as tall as the building, it's like, what's going on here? It's like, what in the world? It's like, this is ridiculous. And Ticini's art was better in what was it, Last American Crime or something? Or
Last Days of American Crime.
Yeah, Last Days of American Crime. I haven't read Low. Ticini's just not my cup of tea, but his art is better in those books. But in the Uncanny X-Force, it's like, man, did this guy draw this in like 2 days? This looks really weird.
I'll tell you, this may just be me, and the fact that I'm an alcoholic, but Fear Agent was, it was great overall. It's one of my favorite. It's one of those Dark Horse library edition type things that's gorgeous. But he drew. I'm sorry. He wrote him as such a convincing alcoholic that I had a hard time with it as a whole. I had to break it up into volume 1 and wait a week and then read volume 2, just because. And I don't know if that's just me or it would be any alcoholic, or maybe it's just because I identify too much with comic book characters. I don't know.
Well, it's like you always tell me, it's different for every alcoholic.
Yeah.
Not everyone has the same story, so everyone's different.
Yeah, you're right. You're very right about that. So anytime I read books about alcoholics, they can affect me one of two ways. Like, it's okay, I'll just keep reading, or I'll go, wow, this is really intense. I have to take a break. And I had to do that with Fear Agent. I didn't have to do it with The Alcoholic by Jonathan Ames.
I remember 8 Million Ways to Die affected you too.
Oh, it did, yeah.
But I think that had a very hopeful ending that made you feel better.
You're right. Yeah.
Because Heath Houston in Fear Agent doesn't really ever get better. He never really, I don't want to ruin the ending, but he never really recovers from his alcoholism.
No. Yeah, you're right. Maybe that's what got me about that.
Maybe. I think his story ends in a satisfying way, but it's not like, rainbows and butterflies and everything's okay. I don't want to spoil it, but he definitely doesn't have like the cathartic ending that you would expect to see in that book. And that is a fantastic book. Yeah. Seven to Eternity, that art again is fantastic. It's a great fantasy series. And I really love his Punisher run. I know a lot of people are
Yeah.
divided on it. The Frankencastle stuff was a lot of fun, and you would love it because I know you like monsters. It's a lot of fun stuff in that book. And then that initial book that's drawn by Jerome Pena has one of my favorite Punisher moments ever.
I have
Great.
to read it.
We'll have to read that for Crime Corner at some point. I think you'd really love it. I don't have the Omni. I have the different hardcovers, but I think you have the Omni, right?
For Mender's Punisher, yeah.
Yeah. Here's the question: is it in the cellophane?
Good question. Let me look. Punisher. Garth Ennis. Garth Ennis is not, because I've read that. Jason Aaron's is not, because I've read that. It is still sealed.
There we go. that would definitely be a good Crime Corner book. That's one of my favorite.
Okay.
Punisher. I think I still like Punisher Max by Ennis and Aaron better, but it's still a worthwhile Punisher story to read. And people are pointing out other Remender books we didn't talk about. I've actually never read Tokyo Ghost.
Oh, I love
that. And I do like Sean Gordon Murphy art. And like I always tell you, in my opinion, as a writer, Sean Gordon Murphy is a great artist. And so I would definitely like a book better if he's not the writer, I think. But I was let down. I was let down with The Wake because the ending was so bad, but the art was fantastic.
I have, but have not read End League and Gigantic, but I want to read them both.
I've never heard of Gigantic.
Tokyo Ghost.
I've never heard of Gigantic before. Is that like a oversized hardcover?
Oh, it is. It's gigantic. Yeah.
I've heard of the End League.
I think they're both in the next room. I don't, because they're tall, so they didn't fit into my billies. I think they're in the next room, so I can't pull them out.
And there's another series I'm blanking on that he did. Oh, Crawl Space. You ever read that?
I have that. Yeah.
He did that other book.
That's a big, thick, huge book.
Okay.
It's a horror anthology. I mean, it's horror stories that he's written.
Right. Yeah, I haven't heard many good things about the Last Days of American Crime movie on Netflix. I think it has a 0% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Ooh, yeah.
I mean, I want to not just base my opinions on movies on Rotten Tomatoes, but a 0% score doesn't really bode well, in my opinion. If not one person likes it.
And we had a hard time with that book too, I think. And that's too bad because it's such a cool concept, I thought.
It was a great premise, but it wasn't great execution. It could have been a lot better, in my opinion. Right. And I feel like if Remender had done it more recently, maybe it would have been better. Because it was kind of earlier on in his career. I just think it could have. It's kind of squandered its premise. It wasn't horrible. It wasn't bad. It just wasn't. It didn't live up to its potential. I'll say that.
I'm forgetting one other Remender book. Let me see. Let me get it.
I haven't read his. I still need to pick up his Venom run, which is hard to find right now because the complete collections are out of print. But I keep hearing Omar say they'll probably collect an omnibus with the new Venomnibus books that are coming out. So hopefully that'll come out. I'm not collecting Venomnibuses and one or two, but I will pick that up if it will have the Venom series by Rick Remender.
This one gets a lot of mixed.
Is that the one that's about the rapture or something?
It's hard to tell. I mean,
I think Gio loves that book.
I liked this book a lot, but the ending either grabs you or it doesn't. And the ending didn't grab a lot of people. I thought this book was fine. I loved the art. I liked the premise, but the ending I think left some people cold.
Okay.
So wait, what other book were you just talking about?
Me?
Oh,
Crawl Space?
Run. Yeah. Did Omar say
Venom
coming out in hardcover?
He said he hasn't said it's definitely coming out, but he says he thinks it'll be collected in one of the Venomnibuses coming ahead.
Oh.
So I think. I don't know where they're at with that right now. I know you're not collecting any more of those for the time being because you returned. Was it volume 2? You didn't even put it out of the box. You just shipped it to somebody who bought it
right away. That's something that he tried. I think he tried to talk me out of. And made fun of me for it. And then as I got it, he kept making fun of me for it. And I just said, all right, it must be bad. So I just sold it right away. I think I just kept it right in the same IST box and sent it to somebody.
Right. So I really want to read that run. I feel like Marvel would just like make so much money selling a Venom omnibus by Rick Remender. People would buy that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
definitely something that people would buy and people want.
Omar, thank you for reminding me. This book is fantastic. We both love this book. And you should definitely get it. Don't be on the fence. Get off the fence on the side of buying this Greg Rucka and what's her name? Nicola Scott.
Oh my gosh, her art is fantastic.
Amazing artist.
And they're finally starting to publish the single issues again of this. So hopefully we'll get in their hardcover in the next couple years.
It's about witchcraft and detective work and witches and a coven and the occult and really cool, gorgeous art. I mean, this woman might be one of my favorite artists ever.
I love how she draws Wonder Woman.
Yes.
She does a fantastic Wonder Woman.
Yes.
I love her run with Greg Rucka on the Rebirth title.
Mm-hmm.
And I love how they do the colors in this book. It's mostly black and white, but there are color pops throughout it. It's kind of like Schindler's List, where like you kind of get some color pops every once in a while.
I don't remember that.
Except less depressing.
Yeah. You don't make out while reading this book.
You made out during Schindler's List.
He's a bit of a close talker.
I love at the end. I could have done more. I could have sold this watch.
He's a bit of a close talker. So, yes, anybody out there who doesn't have this, get it.
Omar, it's worth it to get the hardcover. Don't get the trades. Get the hardcover. It's worth it.
It's beautiful.
And get Lazarus while you're at it, because that's also fantastic. But I think some of those are hard to get too, though.
I think volume 2 is hard to get right now.
That's a thing.
Marcelo recognizes our reference.
I can talk in Seinfeld all day.
Okay, good. We sold Omar on it. Good. And
Streakazoid has a good point. He's hoping that the Venom by Rick Remender is a standalone omnibus and not like a volume 4, because he hasn't had the other books. He doesn't want to have like a random volume 4, volume 5 on his shelf. I definitely get that. I know Jess doesn't have the matching spine disorder, but that would kind of annoy me too.
I
get over it though. I would still get it, but I get what he's saying. Well, my Dixie wrecked. Lazarus will have an ending. It just hasn't ended yet. They're still publishing. They're still publishing issues. It's just taking a while because Michael Lark is a great artist, and it takes him a long time to really come up with the fantastic pages that he does. Well,
Lazarus is one of my all-time favorite books. I made a video.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite creator-owned books, that's for sure. Well, Jess, can I talk about my movie recommendations real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I already talked about the Losers movie. Like I said earlier on, it's not as good as the book. It's definitely more comedic and lighthearted. It's only PG-13, which is hard to believe with how R-rated the book actually is. But I still think it's worth the watch. I think you'd have a lot of fun watching it. The book I would recommend for Blacksad is a fantastic noir set in the 40s, I believe, and that is Devil in a Blue Dress. Have you ever read that book or seen that movie?
By Walter Mosley.
I love his Easy Rollins series. That's a great character. Yeah. And it has one of the best actors, arguably the best actor of all time, Denzel Washington. So
I'm not going to argue with that. I love that guy.
Even if he's in a bad movie, he's still great in it. I'll put it that way. He makes a decent B movie or a bad movie at least watchable. He's fantastic.
Really good.
Right. So that's a really worthwhile movie about a 40s out of work guy who's just been let go from a factory, and he's hired as a private investigator to find this woman who's gone missing. And there's obviously a deep rooted controversy, a lot of stuff that spans LA. It's a fantastic movie, and I really think if you like crime novels, dive into Walter Mosley. He's fantastic. He wrote one of my favorite crime books of the past couple of years, and it wasn't even an Easy Rollins book. It's called Down the River Unto the Sea. It's a fantastic book. If you are a big fan of novels, definitely check that book out. And my movie recommendation for Death or Glory, I mean, I think the one that definitely jumps to mind is Mad Max Fury Road. That's not really a crime movie. And I just rewatched this movie the other day. Have you ever seen Midnight Run with Robert De Niro and
Yeah,
Charles Grodin. That movie is so much fun.
I hated that movie.
You hated that movie?
I thought it was.
Oh my gosh, that movie's great. It's so much fun.
I didn't find it fun. I thought, first of all, not a big Charles Grodin fan. I think I started hating him in The Heartbreak Kid, like back in the 70s. So I'm not a big Charles Grodin fan, and I thought that it was, the N-word controversy with Quentin Tarantino's.
Pretty much all of his movies.
Yeah. Well, the one where it's said like 1,000 times.
Django Unchained.
Yeah, I felt that about 75% of those were unnecessary, and I thought in the Midnight Run movie, the F word was used about 1 billion times and didn't need to be used 80% of the time at all.
Well, it's Robert De Niro, so if Robert De Niro is going to be an R-rated movie, there's going to be some F-bombs being dropped.
I found it to be not my cup of tea.
Okay. Well, don't listen to Jess. Listen to me. That's a fantastic movie. I mean, you can listen to Jess if you want. I just thought it's a well-regarded movie that most people have enjoyed that I've talked to, but you can have your own opinion. That's perfectly fine.
Yeah, most people hate it.
That's not true. Well, it's directed by the same guy who did Beverly Hills Cop, and I also really like that movie too, with Eddie Murphy.
I like that movie.
Don't watch the third one. The third one sucks.
Really
bad. The first two are good. The first one's much better than the second one, but the second one's still pretty good. I think Midnight Run is like a chase movie. It's a really fun, fast-paced movie. Unless you're talking to Jess, if you're talking to me, I think it's definitely worth the watch. I think it's a ton of fun. Even though it's not the same style, you're not going to see people exploding with cars. It just has that kinetic storyline that just keeps going and going and going, and it's really fast-paced.
Just keep in mind, he's the minister of comics, not movies.
Oh, gosh. I can't believe our biggest controversy on this show is over Midnight Run. Well, I guess Matador, Midnight Run. Things starting with M, I guess, set us off.
I can't even believe we still have a show after Matador was the first book I ever had you read.
Yeah, but it wasn't you telling me to. You said, "Oh, I have this book. Why don't we just read it?" So it wasn't like you It wasn't like you told me. Even though you did enjoy it, you didn't tell me you loved it. So It was kind of a blind read for both of us, even if you end up enjoying it more. And my music recommendation is obviously one of the most famous jazz musicians of all time, Miles Davis, one of his first albums, The Birth of Cool. I was listening to that today. Definitely worth the listen as you're reading the books we just talked about. So those are all of my media recommendations that apparently I'm not an expert on because I'm only the minister of comics.
Here's Lloyd Wong with a good suggestion. I'd love a Bendis crime corner.
I've been meaning for us to do an episode on his crime noir omnibus. I don't have the Omni, but I have all the new trades that are included in that omnibus. So we should do that sometime soon.
That'd be good.
We have like a million different ideas for Crime Corner. We're going to be going for a while, I think.
Yeah.
There's a lot of books we need to review, which is a good thing. It's a good problem to have.
And then Marcelo has everybody's idea of hell. Then Omnibus Volume 4, but with a movie cover.
Oh, gosh. That's one of my biggest pet peeves.
I know. I
hate that. Omar Reyes, I know what Jess's answer is going to be for this.
Is Curse? You're watching it on eBay. Is it not available on Amazon or IST or something?
Well, Charles Soule and Ryan Brown did that Kickstarter hardcover, so maybe that's what he's talking about.
Oh,
I don't know though.
Did you read it?
I haven't read it. The premise didn't appeal to me. A wizard named Wizor with a talking koala. It just didn't really strike me in my core of a book I'm gonna like.
The fact that it was a wizard grabbed me, but I really didn't like that book. But there are a lot of people that did. So Omar, I would maybe read the first issue for free online. I think doesn't Comixology let you do that or something?
He says some guy's having a penny sale on eBay. Pretty much.
Well,
maybe
for a penny.
I mean, I don't know how much it actually is, but it sounds like it's super cheap.
I don't know that I'm a good judge for you to ask because I didn't care for it at all. I don't like Charles Soule's independent stuff. I like his stuff a lot for the big two, which is weird, but his independent stuff I do not care for, and that's me. So you should probably ask somebody else.
I really his best book by far that I've read is his Darth Vader series. Those you need to read those hardcovers. They're fantastic.
I haven't read that Darth Vader
I
yet.
really like Kieran Gillen's run, but I think his is a lot better. And
Oh,
that's saying something.
wow.
And Lloyd Wong has a movie question for us. Have you ever seen The Score with Robert De Niro, Brando, and Norton? I wasn't a huge fan of that movie, to be honest.
The Score.
It's like a heist movie back in like 2003 or something, I think.
Brando.
Yeah,
Wow.
he was super overweight in that movie. You know how he really let himself go later on, well,
Yeah.
most of his life actually. But yeah, it wasn't my favorite. It was directed by Frank Oz, who directed one of my favorite comedies of all time, What About Bob?
Ah,
Which hopefully you like that movie. Do you at least like What About Bob?
sorry.
Do you at least like What About Bob?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Okay, okay.
It's a fun
We're back. We're back then. Okay, good.
movie. It's only one movie that I did.
I'm just joking.
Um, let's see. Sandman Mystery Theater. That's a book that has been treated like a redheaded stepchild by DC. It is not. I don't think it is completed. They started out like they'll give it a hardcover or a soft cover complete collection. So so called, and they'll give you one or two books, and that's it. They never collect the rest. I think it's criminal the way they treat it. It's a completely different kind of book, um, and you have to be okay with the art in it because the art's a little different. But I like it a lot, and I think DC really needs to get it collected properly and release it because it's a good. I think it's a good, interesting story.
And Omar Reyes, I think we both agree with that decision to get the hardcover of Black Magic and pass on curse words for now.
Even for a penny, I wouldn't pay. I wouldn't pay a penny for curse words.
Oh wow, that's saying a lot. And
Yeah,
Sam
no.
Cluxon has a good question for you, Jess.
New Snoopy watch from Omega. No, let me look.
Is that the kind of watches that you collect?
No, I collect Swatch watches.
Okay.
But if it's a cool, okay, wait, Snoopy.
You've been on that candy watch kick for a while.
Oh, this one?
Don't you say you go on like several month kicks for watches? Like you'll wear one for like several months and switch for a couple months?
Yes. Watch Omega.
Omar asked how Isola is, that image book. I know you like that book, right?
I like it a lot.
I think Omar, I think Jess has a video on that. You could probably look that up and find it pretty easily.
Omar, you will be seeing that in the next. Oh, wait a minute. I can't review that because it's written by a guy who caught a hashtag and is blacklisted in the industry, Brendan Fletcher.
Oh, so it's not going to be finished then?
It might be finished, but I'm not reviewing it. I don't need the flag.
Right. Well, I just didn't know if it was even finished because sometimes, like right now, I don't think Southern Bastards is going to be finished because the whole Jason Latour thing. So
Right.
I don't think that's going to be completed. So there's some series that will. That was like whenever House of Cards wasn't really finished properly because they did a last season without Kevin Spacey, and I heard it was horrible. And it's like I'm glad Kevin Spacey got caught, but I was like, man, I wish I could have one final season of just them finishing out the story. So I get that.
Okay, wait. Omega Speedmaster Silver Snoopy Award 50th Anniversary Watch. Looks like this.
Where's where's Snoopy? Right there in that one. Okay.
There he is, right there. That's the new Snoopy watch.
Nice. Yeah, how many watches do you even have?
About 50.
Oh my gosh, wow. How long have you been collecting them for?
I haven't picked any new ones up in 5 years, but I had collected them all through the 90s. That was a big thing for me to collect through the 90s.
Speaking of, Jess, how much longer does the audience have to wait for your for your Throwback Thursday videos of your old collecting show.
Oh man, my wife has made it. They're digitized, so it's just a question of my being able to get them onto YouTube.
Okay.
I don't have to rip them off the DVD now. They're online, but the problem is they were taken off a VHS tape and transferred. There are sometimes 4 shows in one rip of the DVD, so I have to learn how to pull a show out of the middle of 4 shows and edit in my beginning and then get it on YouTube. Am I explaining that right? Do you understand?
I guess. Yeah, I get what you're saying. You don't want to put all 4 episodes on one video essentially, because how are they like 30 minutes each?
Yeah.
So that's like 2 hours for one video.
Nobody's gonna watch that. I don't even know that anybody.
We go for 2 hours sometimes and people watch it, so who knows?
But so I need to learn how to just rip a show off and edit it, and then I'll be able to do it. And I don't think it's that hard. I just haven't been able to do it.
I would give Tyler or Gio a call because they're both good at editing. So.
Oh, Tyler Bloom is, I think, one of the best editors on YouTube.
Maybe give him a call.
Editor.
And he'll give you some advice in the Mark Hamill Joker voice. Or what's his other big one that he does? I can't remember. He has the Skeletor as well.
He's Skeletor and Bane. He does Bane from Harley Quinn.
So hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get a Throwback Thursday video a week from you or something if we can.
Cam Cluxon, you are in luck. My wife just found that Presidential Collectibles episode where we've got Lincoln's top hat and matches from the JFK's library and things like that.
Man, if you are able to post those, there's gonna be so many more avatars on Omni Bros and on this channel of you as a young man.
Good.
Back in the 90s.
That'd be great. I have all black hair. It's awesome.
Well, I always snap funny pictures of Jess during Omni Bros and I send them to him. And every once in a while, I'll do a meme contest on the Facebook group. We did that once, and it was a lot of fun. Maybe I'll do it again next year.
What was it? What'd you do?
Remember that one time I did a meme contest where I did like a funny picture of you? And
meme contest.
Yeah, maybe I'll do that again next year if I find a good one.
Yeah, all right.
Fun with that.
I'm me. Best book of 2020, Baby Teeth. That's a good book. My Dixie Wrecked. What's your fave?
That's easy for me. We read in our last Crime Corner, Cruel Summer by Ed Brubaker was my book of the year. And I don't see it being toppled anytime soon.
Wow.
I think that and Harleen were some of my favorite books this year.
Harleen and Superman Smashes the Klan.
Anything else?
I think I'd have to say Harleen. But I loved Superman Smashes the Klan.
Ooh, Parker. I just read the new Parker a couple months ago, and that was fantastic. The reprint of the Martini edition.
Uh-huh.
And I'm really looking forward to that second one so we can do a Crime Corner on it. I think it comes out in December or something. That'll be one I'll have to jump on like right at 3 o'clock or pre-order it.
I think you're going to have to pre-order it.
I think I'm going to have to pre-order that. I can't do that. Jess and I had a funny interchange on Tuesday at 3 o'clock whenever we were both trying to get the Black Hammer, World of Black Hammer Library Edition and Mr. Miracle, the oversized deluxe. And I was freaking out because it kept crashing. It kept not going to the next screen. And Jess is like, just be patient because he already got his been pretty quick. And I was like, for the next 10 minutes, I'm not the Minister of Comics until I get these books in my cart.
Oh, I have not seen that side of you, I don't think.
I told Jess whenever I have technology malfunctioning, I just lose it and I get so frustrated. I kept clicking submit, get it in my cart, and it kept like taking forever to get to the next page. So at 3 o'clock on Tuesday, the IST page is insane.
Yeah.
And so Jess is trying to get me to pre-order books so I can avoid that and I could still be the Minister of Comics 24/7.
Yeah, I think the real thing to do is start paying attention to DCBS every month and start pre-ordering there, because I think I found out what the issue with Tales of Wonder is. They don't close their pre-order window, so you can get shorted a book. Like with DCBS, to pre-order, they'll have it for the month. September's pre-orders are up, and then when the month is gone, you can't order those books anymore. It's like ordering anything, pre-ordering anything. So you can't order it, but Tales of Wonder leaves it open. So I just pre-ordered War of Realms on Tales of Wonder. That's next week, but I don't think I'm going to get it because that window closed a couple of months ago. So I think you need to go on to DCBS and pre-order, and or further out on Tales of Wonder, and start pre-ordering what you really, really want if you know ahead of time.
Okay, so I should really go. Oh, dude, I have such good news. My World of Black Hammer and Mr. Miracle were just picked and scanned.
Oh, they were?
So that means yours definitely was, because you were before me.
I was 3 minutes before.
Well, actually, you got the other books in addition, so I guess I can't guarantee it, but I'm assuming you got. Did you get all new books, or was some of them older?
I don't think I got much more than what we ordered. I did not get anything. Here, let me go check. Let me check.
I'm so happy to see that, because at 3:10, 2 minutes after I finally got my order in, it was unavailable. So I just missed it. You have to sit there at 2:56 hitting refresh to see if the things drop, and it's so stressful, and I can't do that again.
Okay, it hasn't processed yet. Okay, it has been picked and scanned.
All right, that's all that matters. I can wait. I really have no problem with waiting for these books. I have so much to read. I just want to know I'm going to get them at some point. That's all I need.
I can get all this.
I can get this order in December and I won't care. I just want to know that I'm going to have it. That's my only thing. I don't like not knowing if I'm going to get a book or not.
Yeah. I got the Dawn of X Volume 8, Lady Mechanica Oversized Volume 4. I got Talked Into by You, Mr. Miracle, the Deluxe Edition.
Well, that's just a fantastic book. The trade is nice, but I need to have that because one of my favorite Tom King. That is my favorite Tom King book, and it means so much to me personally. And you know why I've talked to you about that.
Yeah, and I agree with all of what you said. So I got World of Black Hammer Library Edition and Shoplifters Will Be Liquidated, Volume 1.
Jess, I have a question about the World of Black Hammer, because I know you have the trade of, is it Dr. Star?
Yeah, his name changed.
Why they changed his name? Do you know why? It's like a copyright thing, or?
I think so. Yeah, I'm
reading the first library edition right now. So I just got the second one in because that tells the complete story of Black Hammer, and he's still called Dr. Star in the library edition, in the first one.
Oh, really?
Because he shows up in the main story. Very briefly, but he still shows up. So I guess in that library edition of the World of Black Hammer, they change his name.
That's where it'll be changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I was kind of confused by that because it's Dr. Andromeda now, I think.
Oh, okay. So, I don't think I knew what it got changed to.
Right. Sam Clarkson with the random question of the night. Way to go, buddy.
He's always good for that.
He doesn't care about you being in the disco, Patty.
Was your wife into disco? I don't actually know the answer to that question.
Were you into disco, Jess?
No, I was not. No, I will admit to listening and liking a couple of songs on Saturday Night Fever, but that's about it.
I like the disco scene in Airplane.
Yeah. True.
I have to watch that movie again. That is not a movie that is PC for 2020. Let me tell you. That movie would never get made in 2020. And it's only rated PG. And you legit see a naked woman run across the screen. Remember that part?
Yeah.
Remember, like it's like, how is this rated PG? I remember, like, as a kid, I was watching that. My parents were like, "Oh my gosh!" It's like, I can't believe that's a P. Because back then they didn't have PG-13, but that wouldn't even be PG-13. Like, what PG-13 movie has nudity like that?
I don't know.
So anyway,
I
so I
love that movie though.
that's a fantastic movie. I
It's
still like Naked Gun better. Naked Gun's like my favorite of that type of movie. Naked Gun
um,
1 and 2 are fantastic movies. I love Leslie Nielsen.
now have you? I don't know if they're available. Have you seen Police Squad, the show?
It's on Netflix.
Oh,
I
it is.
haven't watched it yet though. It's on Netflix,
Oh,
or at least it was a couple months ago. I need
that's
to.
where those guys got their start, and it's so funny.
Is it just as funny as the movies?
I I I loved it. I would call this is how much I loved it. This is back in the day, whenever it came out, 1982 or something. This is back in the day when I would call people. First of all, it cost money to use long distance. And Sam, I don't know if my wife was into disco. That was way before we met,
But apparently Jess wasn't.
and I wasn't either. So I'm sorry, I don't know the answer to that.
I need to watch Police Squad then. I love those movies.
Oh, I would call people. It would cost you money to use long distance, and I would call people from college up and down the state of California and say, "You have to watch Police Squad. It is the greatest show ever." I think it got canceled after 7 episodes or something. It was something stupid that ABC did. Um, it was so good.
And
So
it is kind of weird to watch those movies with O.J. Simpson. It is kind of
yeah,
it's kind of weird to watch him as Nordberg, like a lovable goof, and it's like, man, that guy murdered his wife.
yeah,
But
yeah.
what are your top 5 favorite comedies? How about that question?
Tough
Like your favorite. I already have my list. My list is Dumb and Dumber,
comedies. What's that?
Dumb and Dumber, Anchorman, Step Brothers, Naked Gun, and What About Bob?
I I would say Caddyshack, Animal House, Anchorman, Napoleon Dynamite.
You're a big Step Brothers fan too, aren't you?
Ooh, I am. Step Brothers. It might be Blades of Glory. That gets quoted in this house an awful lot.
Oh, the ice skating one.
Yeah. Because that's got the best of both worlds. You got Napoleon Dynamite and Anchorman smushed into one great tasting movie.
I didn't love that one, to be honest.
Oh, what
But
the hell is wrong with you?
well, we disagree on Midnight Run and Blades of Glory, but that's perfectly
Ooh,
fine.
Dixie Rick, Blazing Saddles. What a great choice. I saw that with my father when I was like 16. It was great.
Oh, Ace Ventura, the second one, When Nature Calls, that's a great movie. Someone just have you seen the 21 Jump Street movies?
I have.
Those are hilarious.
Oh, okay. It's with Michael Cera and Jonah Hill.
Super bad.
Yes. God, I love that movie.
That's a funny movie too.
McLovin. I love that movie.
21 Jump Street is really funny.
I think it's great. I love
22 Jump Street was funny too, but the first one was better.
I agree.
But they were both still really good.
Top Secret, was that the one with Val Kilmer?
Top Secret.
I think Top Secret was by the
Let me look it up.
Airplane guys,
I've never seen that one.
and it's with Val Kilmer. It was like Val Kilmer's first movie, I think.
Really? Top Secret. Yeah, you're right. Val Kilmer. Yeah, it's directed by Jim Abrahams and the Zucker brothers, who did Airplane.
Yeah.
Is it funny? Do you remember being funny?
I remember being disappointed in it.
Oh, okay. I remember Airplane 2 wasn't funny either.
What's that?
Airplane 2 wasn't funny either.
They made an Airplane 2?
Yeah, it was. See, you don't even know about it. That's why, 'cause it was terrible.
Oh,
It was not good.
crashing into the top 5 is Arthur, the first one.
Never even seen it. I've heard of it, but never seen it.
Dudley Moore. Oh, that movie means so much to
You're
me.
going to be really mad at me when I tell you this. I've never seen Animal House or Caddyshack.
Well, I can see that. They're not your era of comedies. I don't, like my daughter's never seen them.
I should watch them though. They're classics. I've never seen the Blues Brothers either.
I just saw Blues Brothers last summer at like an outdoor amphitheater. but I can see not having Caddyshack and
That reminds me of. Did you ever watch King of Queens, the old sitcom with
no,
Jerry Stiller?
I didn't really find it funny.
Oh well, Jerry Stiller at least is hilarious in
He is
that. You
funny.
can agree with that. But there's like an episode where like he's never seen any of the classic movies. Like, you ever heard of this really whimsical movie called The Wizard of Oz? I've never seen it before. I think like the whole episode he keeps coming up with these movies that he's never seen before, and they're like movies that everyone has seen. Like,
Lou hasn't seen Wizard of Oz.
how's that even possible? I don't see how that's possible. I used to watch that growing up all the time.
I don't know how that's possible.
But do you remember growing up, whenever it would be on TV once a year, and everyone would like rush to go see it in the neighborhood? Like, you'd go over to someone's house.
Heck yeah.
My dad used to say like there'd be like one person in the neighborhood. They'd all go over to their house and watch it as like a neighborhood, pretty much.
Well, because they'd have the color TV.
Well, yeah, there's some people who didn't even know there was color in the movie.
I didn't until like 5th grade when we got a color TV.
Oh, okay.
I remember sitting in the cafeteria in like 3rd grade eating lunch, and somebody said, "Yeah, and then when they go to Oz and it's all in color," I'm like, "Oz is in color? What?" It was mind blown. What do you mean Oz is in? What do you mean the yellow brick road's yellow?
I can't even imagine seeing that movie all in black and white. It's like that color is just what makes it what it is. Those scenes, because going from black and white to color, then black and white at the end. I can't imagine not seeing that. He needs to watch that.
The first 10 years of my life, it was all black and white.
It must have been like a whole new movie to you whenever you saw it in color for the first time.
I was pretty excited. But yeah, you had to wait. Just like Charlie Brown's Christmas, you had to wait for it to be on that one night, and that's all you got.
I didn't experience it as bad as you did, like, because I still had a VCR growing up. But like, it's nothing compared to what it is now. Like, I still had to wait. There was the TV Guide channel where you'd like see, okay, what's going to be on today. You could set like the tape recorder for a certain time. You had to be precise, and sometimes it would get cut off because you know it would go 10 minutes over. And I used to always love to record movies and then press stop at commercials, then record it again when the movie came back on. But you'd always like miss a couple seconds or get a couple seconds of the commercial. Kids have no idea what that's like today. that stress of trying to record a movie and get all the commercials out.
I've seen YouTube things. They're like prank videos, and I wonder how, if it's real or not, where they have like 10 and 11-year-old kids, and they give them an old rotary phone and say, "Okay, call your mom." And the kids are looking at this rotary phone, and they pick up the handle and they don't know what the dial is, and it's got the signal. I can't even remember what it was called, the dial tone that you listen to, and the kids don't know how to operate the phone. I always wonder if that's real or not.
Or there are studies of scientists giving books, actual physical books, to kids and them swiping, them not knowing how to turn the page, which is like, I can't even. I think mind blowing to me. Even my almost 1-year-old son reads physical books and turns the pages. It's like, oh my gosh.
Streakazoid, I believe that you've never used a rotary phone, but I don't know. Maybe I just.
I have. My grandma used to have one. I used to use it.
I have one as part of our Art Deco basement out there. But I just can't imagine that it's that difficult for somebody to pick up a phone never having used one before. You've got a phone here, and I mean, you still have to dial point at the numbers. I just wonder if those are real or not, that the kids are baffled.
Ooh, Lars Gunderson brings up another great comedy series, the Pink Panther movies. The first Pink Panther is not very good. It's kind of like, it's more of a drama almost than a comedy. Yeah. But Pink Panther Strikes Again, A Shot in the Dark, Pink Panther Returns, those are just phenomenal. I love Strikes Again whenever remember those assassins are trying to kill him at the fair, and that woman has like the big spikes, and she hugs him, and she spears his pretzel. Or whenever he's pretending to be the dentist, and they're putting laughing gas on his nose, is melting, pushes it back up. Oh my god! I love him fighting Kato whenever they.
Oh, there's those Kato fight scenes where he's like in the air for 10 seconds. Kato
hides in the little mini fridge.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I love those
Oh
movies.
my gosh, I need to see some more Pink Panther movies. I haven't seen them in so long.
That was a priceless Steinway. Not anymore.
And not anymore.
Or I used to use the crossbars in college. It goes off the side down the stairs. That felt good. I love those movies.
A typewriter might be just as weird. Yeah, no, I think a typewriter would be harder to work than a phone.
Do you know what's actually pretty cool? They actually sell keyboards for computers that sound like typewriters now. That'd be really cool. Like,
Uh,
they actually have like metallic keys and actually
oh,
like a typewriter, even though it's actually a keyboard for a laptop or a computer.
oh, typing was the bane of my existence in college.
Using the whiteout.
Oh,
I used to write a lot of stories when I was a kid, and my parents had a typewriter in their closet, and I would pull it out and type stories on it. You need to get the whiteout and stuff. And it was so.
yeah. Then,
One thing I can't relate to is not being able to use the internet to write papers. Like back in the day, you just had to go to the library and just write it by hand or write it on a typewriter. Like back in college, like whenever I was in high school, I could still type on a computer, and in college, I still had access to a computer. But back then, you didn't really have that at all. You just had to go to the library and just write stuff out and do the actual research.
computers were just being invented when I was in college. I took a course called Introduction to Fortran Programming, and it was punch cards with do loops and punch cards and a big IBM machine and stuff.
It gave you more character. Kids today don't have as much character because they don't have everything. Everything comes easy to them.
Oh, I know. Oh, I remember this. Dialing someone without the area code. Yeah. And then I remember when this too, Lloyd, TV Guide, you used to get it in the mail. Everybody got TV Guide and Time and Life Magazine. Time Magazine and Life Magazine and TV Guide.
Streakazoid, my hand still aches from all the notes I've taken in school with pen and paper. I actually always, even in college and in my seminary, I still did pen and paper because that helped me to remember things better. I need like a tactile experience, like actually writing things down.
I agree with that.
Totally different.
I would have
I like physical books so much. I just love that tactile experience of physical books.
I would have to concentrate too hard on type. If you're talking about typing versus pen and paper, I would have to concentrate so hard on the typing, I wouldn't grasp what the speaker was saying. So I'm with you there. Yellow Pages, yeah.
And Marcella's talking about locks for the phone. I never heard of that.
How about those locks for the phone? For a rotary phone.
Oh, okay.
So
how would you lock it?
Because you'd get people that would want to use a phone for long distance, and if you live in California and you called Dubai, it'd be $22 a minute or whatever.
The bane of my existence as a kid when the internet was first invented was dial-up. And like
the modem?
I'd be on the internet looking at Pokemon, and my mom would be like, "Taylor, get off the internet! I gotta make a call."
Oh, I know.
It was so annoying.
Oh, and I remember watching Space Ghost Coast to Coast, and it took 45 minutes to load the first 2 minutes of an episode or something. And I'm like, hey, this internet thing's not going to get popular until this gets fixed. This is taking too long.
Yeah, we didn't have a computer until I was 8 years old, and that's when the internet started becoming popular. And I just remember looking at Pokemon like all the time. That was my big thing back then. Well, we've gone to a lot of unexpected places today on Crime Corner.
Holy smoke, it's 10 o'clock. We've still got viewers. Thank you all for staying with us. We're now we're talking about forgotten technology or technology that we've left in the past. Although Lars Gunderson is bringing up two great movies, especially The Holy Grail.
Yeah, I definitely like that one a lot better.
Yeah, Life of Brian was good. Holy Grail, A+.
That's my top 10 favorite comedies. It's close to the top 5, but it doesn't crack that barrier.
I agree with that.
It's pretty close though.
Yeah.
That is true, Mr. Dixie Rack. Kids are not learning cursive today anymore. And I remember I used to always write in cursive, and on the day of the SATs, whenever I was a junior in high school, you had to like write out in cursive, like I'm not going to cheat on this test and things like that. So many kids were like, I don't remember how to write in cursive, and they were freaking out. And I was like, come on, guys, how do you not remember how to write in cursive? This is ridiculous. But kids today, none of them, as a student minister, I know none of them know how to write in cursive.
I don't know how to feel about that because I don't write in cursive myself. My mom and dad and sister and brother all write in cursive. My mom and dad used to write in cursive, but my brother and sister write in cursive. I've never written in cursive. I've always printed because my cursive is terrible. It's awful. And so I was asked to not use cursive in middle school. The teacher asked me to print, and I said, okay.
I could write in cursive, but there are some capital letters I can't remember, like Z. I remember Z being impossible. Yeah, I still don't know how to do it.
It's this.
There's a couple capital letters I can't remember.
Oh, and Q is like a big S or something.
Right. I just remember I can do all of the lowercase ones, but I can't remember some of the capital ones. They kind of flustered me even whenever I knew how to do it.
The only thing I do in cursive is my signature on a check or
it's kind of like a faux cursive where it's kind of like it becomes illegible at the end of it. And I can't believe people are still watching right now. This is fantastic. People I think we got more viewers when we started talking about random stuff.
Yeah, they're not interested in crime. They're interested in
we'll do a new show about Memory Lane. It was called Memory Lane with Minister and Omni Dog.
Oh yeah, roaming charges. I forgot about those. Those are expensive.
Or having minutes.
Yeah, minutes to use. And if they rolled over or not.
Right. That was really annoying.
Kids these days write in 12-point Comic Sans.
Okay.
What is that? Okay, wait. Hey Siri.
Oh gosh. We're back to the Siri segment.
Show me 12-point Comic Sans font.
Okay. I found this on the web for Show Me 12-point Comic Sans font. Check it out.
Okay. I think she did okay.
My new thing right now is I'm trying to see if I can find Police Squad on Netflix.
This is Comic Sans, so 12-point is how big it is. The font is. So you absolutely have to see Police Squad.
That's one of my favorite movies. I should watch it.
Did you say it was on Netflix or Hulu?
I'll have to check. I can't find it right now because I forget what our Netflix password is. I'll have to go look on my TV after this is over. I'll let you know if it's on there.
Streakazoid. I come here for the tangents. We call them mighty ones. LOL, I just arrived. Must have totally missed Crime Corner and got here just in time for Omni Dog and MOC's Nostalgia Hour. That's exactly right.
Yeah, Bobby Keene, we probably talked about the crime book for 45 minutes. The first half hour was Star Trek and Star Wars, and then it became comedy movies, and now it's just memory lane nostalgia.
Yeah. I watched Faulty Towers. Did you ever see that?
Wasn't that like kind of the precursor to Monty Python?
It was after. Afterwards.
Okay, I only watched some of the Monty Python episodes.
Oh, okay.
All of them, I've watched some of them.
Faulty Towers was genuinely hilarious, but they didn't make very many of them. I mean, I feel like they only made like 14 episodes or something crazy.
Have you seen all the Monty Python? Have you seen all the Monty Python episodes?
Sorry?
Have you seen all the Monty Python like TV show episodes?
At least 100 times each. There was a period in the 80s where I would have a couple of friends where we would go all day quoting Monty Python to each other.
One that I remember the most is nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more, say no more.
Know what I mean? Know what I mean? Noah?
That's the one I remember the most. But you can't beat Holy Grail, though. That's always going to be the crowning achievement of that group of guys.
I totally agree.
Have you seen Spamalot, the musical?
I haven't.
Oh, that was fantastic. My favorite musical I've ever seen. It was fantastic.
Have they made a movie of that?
No, because it's pretty much a adaptation of Monty Python, the Holy Grail. It's just a music form, yeah.
Okay.
But they should do like a Hamilton type thing and record it.
Nice one, Streakazoid. That is hilarious.
Well, the
That,
funny thing is that sometimes I almost forget that we're doing a show, and I'm just talking to Jess, and you kind of forget that you're like on YouTube.
well, I feel like everybody contributes, and we're having a conversation with them too,
Oh yeah,
and that is funny. I want to screen cap that.
yeah. I think my favorite aspect of these shows is just interacting with the chat. Like reviewing books and talking about topics is great, but actually interacting with the chat is definitely the best part.
Okay, I just screen capped it. Well, it is getting late, although I don't have anything to do tomorrow. So,
Well, yeah, we should probably wrap up. I'll go. My wife's probably wondering what I'm doing up here.
yeah, we should end on Streakazoid's comment. That's the funniest thing all night.
Well, thanks everybody for interacting so much. That was a great chat.
And yeah, and thanks for sticking around. And we will be seeing you. Let's see, tomorrow I have at 5 o'clock Omnidog and Omnicat comic book review. And then Sunday and Monday, they're the Omni Bros shows. Nice. And we will be seeing you next on Saturdays in the Batcave, a week from tomorrow, right?
Next Saturday, not tomorrow, but next Saturday. We'll be back.
Excellent. And thank you to all the fans that sat through this. We really appreciate it. And feel free to please leave a comment, leave a like, hit subscribe. Really appreciate all the support you guys give us. It's really, really appreciated from the heart. Honestly, thank you so much. Peace and love. Peace and love.
See you guys.